I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer 3 days into the COVID lockdown. I was very concerned that I wasn't going to be able to get an appointment with an oncologist. But I was told the CAT scan results on a Wednesday, and I was able to get in to see Dr. Joyce Barlin that Friday. It was pretty remarkable.
The COVID pandemic was very scary for all of us across the board just because there were a lot of unknowns, especially initially. But certainly throughout the pandemic, we always prioritized our oncology patients. And so in that regard, we really did not have to delay cancer care.
In March of 2020, right before the lockdown, I had been feeling very bloated, and really that was the only symptom, but it was enough that I went to my primary care physician and I left with a bunch of referrals, but one of them was for a CAT scan, and I did get the CAT scan done. My primary care doctor called me that evening and said that they found 2 very large tumors on my ovaries.
Kate had a high-grade serous ovarian cancer, which is one of the most common types of ovarian cancers that we see.
Unfortunately, ovarian cancer is often advanced stage of diagnosis, really because of the general natural behavior of it. And so ovarian cancer does not have a long indolent period or a period in which you can kind of screen and detect it. It really happens over the course of just a few weeks to a couple of months. And so it is incredibly common for women to feel fine, and then after just a few months of feeling a little bit of bloating, that they go to the provider and they're diagnosed with an advanced staged ovarian cancer.
Immediately, Dr. Barlin put a plan in place where I had paracentesis done twice to drain the fluids. I had my port inserted. I had a biopsy done to confirm the diagnosis. All of that in the course of 2 weeks. And then I had my first chemotherapy session in early April.
When you think about ovarian cancer, it's really treated with a combination of 2 things. One is surgery and the other is chemotherapy. Really the more important of those 2 is chemotherapy, and surgery is only helpful if you can get to a point where we call it optimal disease, meaning that any visible disease is less than a centimeter, and ideally there's no visible disease. Kate had a great response to chemotherapy, so her disease in the chest really shrunk down, so she became a surgical candidate. And so that was an abdominal surgery with a vertical up and down incision. And so we start by taking out the gynecologic structures, so doing a hysterectomy, taking out the uterus and the cervix, the fallopian tubes and the ovaries, the omentum, and then any other signs of cancer that we can visibly remove will also come out, and that's part of what we call an optimal debulking surgery.
I had to go by myself to the surgery, which was a little frightening. The staff was so wonderful. I mean, because they had to take on that added role. Beyond just being caregivers, they had to be the support and comfort for these patients because they didn't have anyone. No one was allowed in there. When you're in there and you're in the pre-op and you're alone, it can be scary. And I remember Dr. Barlin coming up to me, and you know, I had a mask on and everything else, but she could tell I was upset. And she said, "Don't worry, I'm going to take really good care of you." And she did.
Every day I have kind of a reflection as I make my way into the office or into the operating room, and just asking for both, the strength and the appreciation, because it's truly a privilege to be able to take care of these patients every day.
Vassar Brothers Medical Center and in all of Nuvance Health, we employ a team approach to patients with cancer. This involves both physicians, surgeons, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, nurses, and administrative staff. This entire team works tirelessly to provide the best and most comprehensive care to the patient that is possible. We feel that it is critically important for patients to have care close to home, since cancer is really a family illness.
The literature has really demonstrated that patients do better if they go to specialists that have trained in gynecologic oncology. And so to be able to offer that service with fellowship trained providers in the region is critical to patient care.
I trusted the doctors here. I trusted the team that was working with me. I never for a moment felt like I needed to go anywhere else to get my care. I'm sitting here 3 years later and I feel great. I feel great, and I'm able to live my life, and I'm able to see my kids launch and do wonderful things, and I'm just really grateful.